This is how to make FU money with YouTube micro channels. My name's Alex Newman. And before I turned 18, I made $1 million doing the exact same thing. You can see the first payment processor with 600,000. Click over to the second one. You can see another 560,000. So I want to start by explaining where the most money is made online. So you have lots of gurus and lots of different business models. You have SMMA, you have freelance brand scaling, you've got trading, and you've got plenty other business models. I'm sure you've heard of e-com, dropshipping, all of these business models. And yes, what you actually have above that is you have these gurus who are pushing people into a given business model. They're saying, hey, do SMA, or maybe this guru says, hey, you gotta do this, hey, you gotta do this, hey, you gotta do this. Now, the people that are making the most money online are these people right here. They have run the businesses that they are advocating for, and they've made decent money, right? For example, all these guys like Iman, they've made money running agencies or doing whatever business model they're speaking about, but they made the vast majority of their fortune that allows them to have the lifestyle that often convinces people to actually start this business model off of sharing other people how to use this business model. And this is not unethical. This personally changed my life when I started SMA as a 15-year-old who was an ex-pro Fortnite player and dishwasher. However, most of the money is coming all the way from the guru section here and not actually the given business model. So when you actually want to approach making money online, the best way to actually go ahead in this modern day and age is to go ahead and actually just start by becoming a guru. And the best way to do that is I like to call YouTube micro channels. You see, the only thing that is stopping you, and maybe you think you don't have enough experience, you haven't seen success in a given business model, so how are you going to teach people to do it? Maybe you don't want to be seen as unethical, all of these things. We now have technology like AI, ChatGPT, and all these programs that can allow you to create an incredible product to actually change people's lives in a small scale. So to explain what I mean, I met a guy yesterday who is selling a foreign language course. So he's teaching people a foreign language, and he himself did not speak that language. However, the product that he was selling was getting people great results, and he was getting paid pretty hefty money for doing so. And the reason why this works is because when you're actually selling something online, you don't have to be the top expert in the world. Again, you have a lot of times people think they need to be on the very top of the pedestal here. They have to be the #1 expert in the world to finally reach a point where they can explain to the masses down here, hey, this is how you do this given thing. And this belief is completely false. Oftentimes, if we were to go to the richest person in the world, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and ask them for business advice to make your first $10,000, even your first $1 million, their advice is going to be so out of actually being implementable and relevant to the people down here that it's not even helpful. Oftentimes the people down here actually want somebody who's a little bit more on their level. So instead of being all the way up here, you might want somebody that's maybe 1 step ahead of you or maybe 2 steps ahead of you. And from this point on, what they can actually do is you can relate to the masses' problems, and then as a result, you can solve them better than the guy up here could, maybe if you're 1 step ahead, 2 step ahead. And the big thing is that in correlation to the size of the problem that you can solve is the actual pricing that you're going to be able to charge people. For example, the guy selling the foreign language course, because he doesn't have an incredible fluency and can teach people how to be fluent, he can just teach people the basics of the language. The problem that he's solving isn't that big. It might be 1 or 2 steps. However, if maybe you're 5 steps or 10 steps ahead of people over here, and you're now actually speaking to them like, hey, I can help you make your first $5,000 online. I can help you make your first $10,000 online. This is now a much bigger gap. And because of that, the price you can charge is actually more, which means that per person in the masses, you're going to be able to make more money. So that is pretty much the foundation of what actually warrants making money online and what the actual online space looks like nowadays. Now I want to explain why YouTube and specifically micro channels are the best way for doing this, because pretty much there is a lot of ways to get attention on social media. Attention is the core currency. Instead of looking at the amount of money that you want to make, you just need to focus on the amount of attention that you need. And if you have that and you're providing value to those people, the money will come. It is literally that simple. And when we look at attention, there's different quality of attention. You can go ahead and you can go viral, you can prank people, you can just be a public nuisance and get millions of views on social media. However, that attention is not very high quality. If we were to rank the attention on 3 quality scales here, we have got hot attention all the way at the top, we have got medium attention, and then we have got cold attention at the bottom here. And this is in direct correlation to how much somebody actually knows you, likes you, and trusts you. Then we also have the proficiency of the given person. So are you attracting somebody that has never made a dollar in their business before, or you may be attracting multi-million-dollar CEOs? And the great part is that algorithms now, specifically YouTube and Google, because they have the most data, YouTube is actually owned by Google all the way up here, they have so much data now that they can target your YouTube videos to a specific caliber of person. There are YouTube channels that exist, which I'll show you in this video, that have maybe 1,000, 2,000 subscribers, yet every single one of those viewers is a multi-million dollar CEO or somebody who has more money and is more affluent and can therefore then, if we go all the way back over here, pay something that is massive in scale to the size of the problem that they're solving. When you're solving a problem for a very rich person, instead of it being a $5,000 solution, getting a rich person in shape if they don't have a lot of time might be a $50,000 solution. So you need to understand that the person you're targeting with your content is very simple. And that's why if your goal is just to make $10,000 online or to make fuck you money, you want to focus on targeting somebody that can warrant paying you a pretty good amount of money. And then because of that, you can have a micro channel that doesn't get many views, but still allows you to actually convert customers and get rich. So when you're first beginning, the best way to actually figure out how you're going to start this is not to worry about the specific skill or service that you have. I see a lot of people, they try and just take things necessarily from their lives and go ahead and package that. And the issue with that is you could go ahead and become the best card thrower in the world, but that's something that's not desirable, and going all the way back to a gap here is not that large. People would not be willing to spend much money to have that problem solved for themselves. So therefore, instead, what's a better idea is, instead of starting with the skill, what you're going to do is you want to start with the problem or the pain. You can just represent that with a P, and then as a result, moving into the skill over here. And if we can do that, what's going to happen is the skill we have can be developed and adapted based on the problem over here. And then before the problem, the actual thing that we want to figure out is the person. So a big part about what actually makes people buy from you in this entire YouTube atmosphere and economy, and a big part as to why you see all these gurus here flexing their Lambos and showing their lifestyle, is because in order for somebody to warrant actually paying you money, all the way back over to this pedestal here, they have to see you as somebody who is above them. So inherently, when you're making your content, if it's going to be something that makes somebody pay you, to some extent, you have to be talking down towards them. You have to be sharing lessons as if you had already solved their problems in the past, and then as a result can speak as an authority and somebody to be respected, not in a demeaning way. You're not better than them as a human. It's just in this specific area of life. There's often people here probably in much better shape than me, or have much more success, personal relationships, whatever it might be. However, when it comes to YouTube micro channels, I'm somebody who's able to speak as an authority because of the obscene amount of time that I've put into this. So from this point on, when we actually figure this out, we can make ourselves the person that is going to be able to address the problem, and then as a result, develop the skill. The skill is the least important part, but if we cannot be perceived as a person that is worthy of gaining the respect of the masses that we're trying to target, it is going to be an absolute useless grind. I'll give you a story of this because I tried to actually work with the market one time where the average person, and it was between the ages of 25 and 35. And the issue with this is myself, I'm only 18 years old. At the time of doing this, I'm pretty sure I was actually 17 years old. And because of that, no matter how much of a problem I could solve and the amount of skill that I had, these two were completely checked. I had got obscene results compared to a lot of the competitors I had. But the issue is that I was not the person that they actually wanted to respect. And because of this, no matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't get that base level of respect, because it was almost like this. I was down here trying to like speak down, but they were above me over here just because they perceive their life stages as more advanced and wouldn't be willing to pay somebody for an information solution, not like a service solution, for the given problem they have, again, because they're a little bit older than the 17-year-old Alex. So that is an example of pretty much how the process looks like from a high level when it comes to actually figuring out the kind of person that we want to target. Then from that point on, once we have become the person worthy and got the problem and got the skill, the next phase that we're going to move into is the actual content and how we're going to approach this. So as I mentioned earlier, the algorithm is pretty much completely able to find and identify the kind of content you're making, and then as a result, serve it to the right kind of people. A lot of guys will get hung up on this. They'll think they need to add a million tags and descriptions to your YouTube videos. This is extremely important. When you upload a YouTube video or even given kind of media onto a social media algorithm, the video and the algorithm is actually going to go ahead, use AI to scan all of the video actual visual, They're going to scan the audio of it. They're going to scan your tone of voice, try and detect emotion, detect what kind of people are in the video. Maybe you've noticed kind of like the auto detection and the blue comments that you've seen on YouTube nowadays. So as a result, no matter what tags you add, if you upload a video about John Cena and you try and title it something about dropshipping, it is never going to be able to trick the YouTube algorithm. Because of that, you can just rely on if you say the right kind of words in your videos and you actually talk about the concepts, you do not need any of the crazy targeting stuff. Really, the only way to expedite this process, because it might not happen instantly, is what I want to represent with a V, which is volume. So if we can post at a good enough volume, consistently reaffirming the right things to the algorithm, we can then go ahead and target the right person. And this is kind of the process of how a YouTube micro channel works. We're going to be posting at a very high frequency. So a lot of people will say like, hey, no, Alex, you got to make these super high quality videos. You got to have editing. You got to have all these things, because we're talking to such a specific kind of person, right? Again, you've got the hot traffic, you have got the medium traffic, and you've got the cold traffic. We're only going after people that are hot over here. So because of that, there's a very low amount of competition on these videos, and we're speaking so specifically to the problems that they have, all the way over to the next one here, which is the problems, and then as a result addressing it with skill. We're so specific on the problems that we're actually speaking about with these people that we don't need any of the fancy editing. You probably didn't see I have no thumbnail on this video. There's no editing. I get hit up by YouTube specialists all the time. I make YouTube videos for other people all day as a job, and yet I don't use thumbnails on my own video. It's because I understand how niche down I actually am trying to get with these specific videos here. So from this point on, when you can reaffirm using volume, you're able to then go ahead and target the kind of person at a much higher rate. So high volume, and then from that point on, in addition to that, we're going to be making our videos centered around pain. So a lot of people, they think, hey, you got to make these YouTube ideas, clickbait, all these things. I can tell you right now, the best YouTube videos when it comes to actually converting people in order to pay you money and not just relying on YouTube AdSense, which we'll cover in a second, is to center it around a given pain, about a thing that you had to overcome or experience. So when we come up with YouTube ideas, what I like to do is I like to take points of pain in my life. So for example, if I was selling a fitness offer over here, some of the pains could be like, hey, I'm scared to go to the gym for the first time. I don't know what workout to do, what order to do my workouts. I don't know how to measure my days. I don't know how to eat. I don't know how to recover. Taking these points of pain, turning them into questions. So for example, what do I eat? And then using those questions as the prompts to actually create the titles. So the title should be the answer to the given question that is coming from a pain over here. And that is literally the entire process for coming up with banger YouTube titles. Now, from that point on, I heavily advise this, and it's what, no matter how many top creators I spoke with a guy who has 5 YouTube golden play buttons, meaning he's hit 1 million subscribers 5 different times. And when I asked him like, hey dude, what's the sauce on making thumbnails and titles? He almost like laughed at me and just straight up told me, dude, what I do is I just come up with very simple competitor ideas from other niches that have the same audience as me, and I copy them and try and make them a little bit better and more relevant to the video I'm making. If you can do that, it is literally extremely simple. And the best way and implementable action step that I actually have for doing this is just having a YouTube playlist that you call like ideas or outliers, where every time you see a video that you like, you just put it in a folder for yourself, and then training your own YouTube algorithm to actually show you videos from those equivalent niches. So if I were to look at my YouTube algorithm right now, all I see is faceless YouTube content created, branded dropshipping, and all the other business models that people have the ability to start, so that I can keep an eye on all the competitors and what kind of formats are working. And I just find a way to, again, put the titles that I'm doing over here, or the answer/title, into just a YouTube viable format that is working in today's current meta. But that's extremely, extremely simple over here. So now as we head back in, what do the videos actually contain? And the best way to explain it, people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. That's a quote by Theodore Roosevelt, one of the American presidents. And pretty much what that goes for and actually means in the context of YouTube is, if you just start the video and you're just spewing info to people saying like, imagine for the example of this eating video, hey dude, here's the meal you got to meet, here's the shake. All right, I'm making the shake now. You got to have banana in it, all this stuff. That video is not going to do well. And the reason why is because people don't know how much you care. So what I like to do instead is before you ever cover the info in a YouTube video, you want to start here with a story. You need to give them a story for them to actually understand how much this is actually relevant to you and how much this means to you. So I'd share the story of your own personal experience with this. When I first got into the gym, I struggled with this. Or when I tried this, it didn't work, but I got this little inkling and I tried this. And the simple way that I'd recommend anybody does this is just by learning the hero's journey framework right here. And if you can just apply this and literally pull this up every single time you're making a YouTube video, you're able to then create a banger story that you can use. And whoa, I'm super big now. Apologies there, but here is the hero's journey. So it starts with a call to adventure, a supernatural aid. This can be substituted with just like the epiphany moment that led to you actually figuring out what you need to do. Then the threshold of beginning of transformation. So this is when you explain the idea that you actually had to solve this problem, the mentor, helper, and then the abyss, which is kind of like that point of either you hitting an absolute low and then having a breakthrough, and then going through the transformation, atonement, and return all the way back here. And this is an extremely simple framework to learn, but telling that story is going to make people actually care about the amount of information you have to give to them. From that point on, because you're posting at such a high volume here, the only thing that you have left to do is direct people to some form of traffic. Now, I see a lot of people make a mistake with this and they try and create complex products. When you're building a personal brand using your face, the best thing that you can sell is direct time with you for you to actually teach somebody a skill, especially at first when you don't have time to actually just focus on building a team, getting a complex product and all these things. So as a result of that, the mistake that I see a lot of people make is, again, they create this massive gap. So someone watches their free YouTube video right here, and then they just try and make them go ahead and directly buy something or just make them hop on a sales call. And this is very difficult because what happens is people have to go up such a journey with you just because of your YouTube content to actually want to get to the point of paying you. So as a result, you usually have this invisible mass of people who like you enough to watch every YouTube video, but don't like you enough to actually pay you money yet. And then you get nothing out of it. And this also applies for any of my guys who are a bit more experienced here to running some form of call funnel or call calendar. If you run straight to call and you don't have any form of offer or given traction, you're not an experienced marketer, you're oftentimes losing calls because of this. So what I like to do is like to start off with something that is an easy yes and have the entire customer journey with me be a path of easy yeses all the way up again to the point where they're going to buy something over here. So for example, they're going to watch a YouTube video, then you want to give them something for free. What that's going to do is they're going to exchange their information in return. This is called an opt-in or a free community, whatever it might be. You can then get them into a C, which is going to represent a conversation. That can either be a DM, it can be a phone call, whatever it might be. But then you can get them into conversation to then tailor this free information that you've elevated them from YouTube to a much higher relevance to them specifically. From that point on, you can get them to another C, which is going to represent a call or a booked appointment. And then from that point on, if you can really help them, you're going to make them buy. Now, I understand that when I speak about some premises like this, if you haven't started before, you might be thinking, hey, Alex, I don't want to be a guru, all these things. If you can genuinely build an amazing product and develop a skill, which I recommend, if you don't have great experience, you document the process of you learning on your YouTube channel to start, you're going to be able to impact millions of lives. You see, all these business models over here transparently don't actually add to other people's lives. You've got trading, where you're stealing money from other people. You've got drop shipping, where you're just sending out a bunch of products, making people impulse buy. For me personally, as much as I don't want to demean the other industries, information products get such a bad rep, and for my own life have changed pretty much the entire experience and allowed me to go from a random kid dishwashing, playing video games to what I'm doing now. And it's also allowed me to see other people's lives transform the exact same way. And yes, as like any industry, you run into problems, issues, et cetera, et cetera. The rule that I've always had is if somebody's not happy with you, just give them the money back. They probably need it more than you do. And if you can run your business like that, you're going to be highly ethical. You're going to be able to change people's lives and you're going to be able to make a lot of money while doing it. So that is how to make FU money with YouTube micro channels. And yeah, if you'd like any more value, you have the ability to check out my free resource in the description below. And outside of that, I hope that the value you got from this video is worth the time you spent. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one.